There are some houses you should never buy, regardless of the price, regardless of how good it might look. I'm going to share with you mistakes you should avoid that could cost you thousands of dollars in buying a home. In the past 29 short years, my wife and I have bought and sold over 7 homes. In addition to that, I bought over 300 rental properties in that same period. So I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I want to help you. Get a home inspection. This is a broad stroke comment. For some of you, it won't apply. It doesn't apply for me because I bought so many homes and I know what really to look for, but most people are not in a spot they can go through and quickly assess a roof, a furnace, plumbing, electric, foundation, termite, everything else you can imagine. It is critical. If you do not do this, this could be potentially thousands and thousands of dollars in mistakes. A header across the basement that has termite infestation could cost you $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 to replace. These are things that most people need to avoid. A good home inspector can help you with that. The best source to find a home inspector, ask your real estate professional. If you have a great agent working with you, ask them their favorite inspector. That's where I would start. Get a survey. And a survey that I would get in a residential application like that is a sketch survey. And what a sketch survey does, it gives you a picture of the property that you're buying, the fence, the garage, everything else, and they kind of just show you where the points are. They don't necessarily stake it out, but little things like making sure your garage is on your property as an example, or making sure that fence that you think is your fence is really your fence. A lot of times the sketch survey is floating around that someone that has done prior. I will sometimes use a prior sketch survey that was done maybe 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. The garage was built, the house was built, here's the spot. The garage and the house didn't move and the lot lines are still the lot lines. If you're looking at a bigger piece of property, I think it's great to get the corner stake. So let's say you're buying 5 acres, 10 acres, 20 acres. You got a general idea where things are. Get those stakes done so you can see exactly where things are and see if they are what they were advertised on the listing card and they are what you thought they were when they walked the property. Cheap investment to make when you're making a big purchase like buying a home or buying property. I'll give you kind of a funny example. I bought a house a number of years ago for an investment property and I was all ready to tear the garage down on the house because I was sure that this garage was part of my house. Funny thing was, last minute I looked at the sketch survey and I found out that garage was not mine and was not on my property. So I almost tore down a garage to the neighbor's house. That would have been a very expensive mistake that I saved myself by having a sketch survey. Check the sewer and water in the city. Check the well and septic in the country. A general inspection doesn't necessarily cover the water lines that come into the house and the sewer lines that go out of the house. It can be very expensive to get those sewer lines done coming in and out. Tree roots grow in there. Sometimes the whole pipe needs to be put in. It's good to understand the process. When we have any issues on any of our plumbing, we get our plumber to come in with the camera to see what the real issue is. They run the camera down there. 9 times out of 10, they find roots. It's easy to fix and they can actually treat it to slow the root growth. But every once in a while you get in, you find the pipe's damaged. And you literally have to dig up from the house to the sewer. So this could be a $5,000 to $20,000 error on a residential lot. When we get to more rural areas, we want to look at well and septic. Getting a well and septic inspection. A general home inspector isn't going to check the well and septic. Some municipalities require you, or counties require you, to get a well test to make sure that the water is safe, and also get a separation test to make sure that the septic's far away from the well. These are both important. Is the septic system working? Is it functional? Septic systems fail. It's just a matter of when. Getting a professional to take a look at that. How does your well look? How long has it been there? How clean is the water? But how's the functionality of these? These are 2 high-dollar items that you want to know what's going on before you close. When you buy a home in a standard purchase agreement, the seller is going to have a seller disclosure statement. I think it's important to look at that seller disclosure statement. If they say on there, the septic works pretty good, but we had a couple problems, big red flag. Another thing that a seller might say is unknown. Unknown doesn't say it's good, doesn't say it's bad, it just covers their butt and they say it's unknown. You need to find out if it's good or bad, because after you close, you own it and now it's your problem. Get a title policy. It is typically required when you're buying a house. It depends on where in the country that you're at to get a title policy. What a title policy does is it protects you to make sure that you're buying this house and you're the owner, and no one else has any ownership rights to it. There's no old mortgages, there's no unpaid contractor liens, there's no unpaid tax bills or water bills or cousin Eddie from out of state that has ownership interest in this property. You're the owner, you're protected. Where I see issues happen sometimes in title, someone's a cash buyer, so they pay cash and they didn't do the title policy. When you buy a house and you use a mortgage, you're forced to get a title policy. That mortgage lender wants to make sure that their loan to you is secured and a title policy is required. Sometimes in cash sales, you cut a couple corners, the title policy isn't executed, they're not covered. I'll also tell you this regarding title policies. It's kind of like a gym membership. Just because you paid for the gym membership doesn't mean you get skinny or you get fit. You got to go to the gym and do the work. The same thing with the title policy. You're going to get a 20-page title policy back, and you need to read the title policy. There's probably 3 or 4 key areas in this 20 pages you want to look at. There is a fair share of real estate jargon in there, so talking to a professional and making sure they reviewed your title policy with you is always a great suggestion. So a couple of the areas to look at in that title policy is you want to see, are there any easements across your property? Has someone else been granted permission to move across your property? You picture building your dream house in the middle of 10 acres, you paid cash for it, you got a clear title policy, it's all good, meaning there's no liens, there's no unpaid contractor bills, no old mortgages, but guess what? There's an easement running right through the middle of it, so the guy in the farm 20 acres back can drive his pickup truck right through the middle of your property. Guess what? You can't build your dream house in that spot. That's one example of an area you want to look at, are easements and encroachments. People that their stuff is coming onto your property. You can still get clear title that has issues. Check the disclosures. I talked about it a little bit earlier, but the seller disclosure, when someone's selling a house and they list it with a real estate agent, they have a seller disclosure where they go through everything from the kitchen sink to the toilet, to the pool, to the barn, to the HVAC system, heating, cooling, plumbing, everything else. Yes and no. Is the furnace work? Yes, no. Is there any issues with this? Yes, no. Is this functional? Yes, no. Unknown is the killer, because unknown says, well, I didn't know there was a problem. Well, you got water pouring through your foundation in the basement every time it rains. It probably is a problem. You probably shouldn't hit unknown. You probably should have said, yes, there's a problem with water in the basement. A client of mine recently went through this, and specifically what it was, they bought a house with a pool in the backyard. And the seller disclosure on the pool, are there any issues with the pool? Does it leak? Are there any issues? No, 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 no. They move in, they buy the house, and guess what? That hose is in the in-ground pool nonstop trying to maintain the water level. Well, it wasn't that hot, and it's not evaporation. That pool is leaking. After they talk to a couple neighbors, meet the neighbors say, hey, how's the pool? And they're like, well, why do you ask? Well, that pool's been leaking for years. Guess what? The seller knew there was an issue with that pool. They didn't disclose it, and my buyer was able to go back and get the money that that seller didn't disclose and didn't pay, and they were protected because of that. Had that seller said, yes, there's a problem with the pool, guess what? They're off the hook. But because that seller said no, they're liable. Now, that doesn't mean you're just going to write a check and give them the money back and it's all going to be happy, kumbaya, everything's good. There is some threats of lawsuits back and forth. There are some heavy conversations back and forth between both real estate agents. At the end of the day, my buyer got a check for about $8,000, which covered about 90% of what the actual bill was. Flood zones. Understanding if you need flood insurance and if you're buying in a flood zone. I will tell you, flood insurance can be really inexpensive in some cases, and it can be extremely costly and even a deal breaker in other areas. I suggest if you have any indication that you may be in a flood zone, check that out early in the process so you don't go down the path of getting a home inspection, getting a house under contract, meeting about financing, doing all this stuff, only to find out in the 11th hour that you have a $500 a month flood insurance policy that's going to kill the deal. If you think you're in a flood zone, find out early. Your mortgage professional should be able to help you with that. And a real estate professional, a true professional, should know if you're in a flood zone or if you should at least dig deeper to see if you are in a flood area. Hey, about halfway through, real quick, if you bought a home and you've got a mistake, I'd love to hear from you below. I'm only naming 12, but God knows there's a lot more than that. If you're thinking about buying a home, what mistakes or what questions do you have? Comment below. Hazard insurance or homeowner's insurance, number 7. Critical mistake that people make is insurance and insurance coverage. Think right now what's happened out in LA with the fires in LA. And thousands of people's insurance was dropped or their coverage was changed 6 months prior, saying they weren't covered for wildfires. I'm willing to bet that some of those people never got that stuff in the mail. Got sent out, never got delivered, didn't even know that they were no longer covered. So those cases where insurance coverages can change, but let's just start talking about when you buy a house. Do you have the right insurance? Will it cover rebuilding the house? What kind of water damage does it cover? Does it cover water damage from the plumbing leaking or the toilet leaking? Does it cover water damage from groundwater? Does it cover water damage from floods or from a stream rising or heavy rainfall? Whole variety of things that are involved there. I have a great relationship with my insurance agent, and I don't think it's a commodity product because no one ever thinks they're going to have a loss until they do. Coming from a guy who's never had a catastrophic loss in 30 years of homeownership, I had one a couple years ago. I had a house fire. And that house fire displaced us from our house for 6 months. Every stitch of clothing in the house had to be thrown away or cleaned. New carpet, new paint, everything from top to bottom, furnace, ductwork, everything else. At the end of the day, it ended up being a couple $100,000 insurance policy claim. Unbelievable. I'm so happy I had a relationship with my agent and he had the right coverage. And I'm also happy that I took the time to understand the coverage I have, what it did cover and what it didn't cover, because things do happen. Everybody thinks it'll never happen to them. Home insurance is getting more expensive, and a mistake that I see a lot of people make is the premium comes out, premiums went up, they write the check, they go forward, that's it. Here's a tactic, a pro tip on insurance. Talk to your agent about taking a higher deductible. If your homeowner's insurance deductible was maybe $500 or $1,000, look at, could you move it to $2,500? Could you move it to $5,000? So in turn, you're taking more risk if you had a loss where it's going to cost you more out of pocket, but in exchange for that risk, you potentially get a lower premium. For me, I'm good if I have a big catastrophe like the house fire I talked about, I'm okay paying $5,000. If I have a couple $1,000 claim on the house, I'm probably not going to claim it because it's not at my deductible. You've got to weigh those out, but that's a pro tip. Look at getting a home warranty. Oftentimes, they're very inexpensive. You can negotiate for the seller to potentially pay for your home warranty. I wouldn't think this is going to cover everything, but it covers the major things. Maybe it covers a furnace that blows up in the first period of time. Water heaters are getting more expensive. Maybe a couple of those big items that right when you came in, they die on you. Home warranty can be a cheap option to give you a little peace of mind. Understanding and potentially checking mineral and water rights. This probably isn't going to apply for someone buying a house in a residential area in a neighborhood, but when you get to some bigger tracts of land or some bigger parcels of land in different parts of the country, there are mineral rights, there are water rights, there are all kinds of rights. The big thing is to understand, have those already been given away? Do you have the right to the mineral rights and the water rights, or have those already been given or sold to somebody else? You'll likely find this in your title policy when you look at that. Wrapping it up, coming towards the end, understand your closing costs. It's really easy to think, I'm buying a house for $400,000. You're gonna put 5% down, 5% times $400,000, $20,000. Cool. Yeah, not cool. There are other costs associated, costs with buying that home. Title insurance, home inspection, lender cost, appraisal cost, escrow cost to set up an escrow cost. First year of homeowners insurance are example of just some of the costs. Make sure your mortgage professional has clearly communicated with you a very good estimate of what your closing costs will be on a house that costs about $400,000 in this area. Get an idea before you write that contract. If you don't get an idea, I've seen people get to the paperwork portion of the process and they have absolute sticker shock. They had no idea that the closing costs were this much more. It depends on closing costs through various parts of the country, whether you're an attorney state or a title state, what other regulations there are, what are traditional closing costs for your area. In some markets, it could be $20,000 of additional closing costs. So you've got $20,000 for down payment, you have an additional $20,000. In other markets, it could be $20,000 and maybe $5,000 or $6,000. It changes depending on where you're buying, but what doesn't change is you need to understand what those costs are, and you'll find them if you're working with a true professional. Last but not least, it is critical to get pre-approved for a mortgage ahead of time. I've seen this mistake again and again. People want to go out and look at the shiny object. Oh my gosh, this great house, I love it, it's our dream house. The problem is, you didn't get financing in place. And the person next to you that also loves that dream house, they're gonna get it instead of you because they got their ducks in a row ahead of time. They got pre-approved. They met to talk about down payment, closing costs, total funds, and they got a letter that says these people are well qualified if you accept their offer. Seller, you're gonna get paid and you're gonna get your money because these people have already gone through the process. In 22 years of doing this, I've seen it again and again. Everyone goes out and looks at the house first. A suggestion I'd make to everyone, look at financing first. Find out what it is going to cost. Find out what you can afford. Find out what you're comfortable with before you go start looking at shiny objects. These are 12 key mistakes to avoid. I probably could have done 100. I will tell you this, you will avoid most of these mistakes when you're working with true professionals and you understand exactly what you're getting into. Subscribe below if you want to hear more information from your friend KP.